What happened?
We are live, Mr. Henry. Are you not able to see the screen?
No, I can't. Hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, well, let's go back. I don't know. Let's do it.
Okay.
hmm
But you're unable to see your screen?
I can see me now.
Okay. You can or cannot?
I can.
Okay.
So I guess
We are
everybody.
live.
Okay. Good evening. Good evening, and welcome to the 2 Minute Warning. I'm one of the hosts, Bobby Henry. My other host is inadvertently in another place. You know, things happen, but we make it do what it do. Good evening, everybody. And as we continue our show during this political season and continue to try to educate, motivate, and keep people involved with the political process. And we've been interviewing or allowing people to come on the show and introduce themselves and talk a little bit about who they are and some of their political aspirations, and just for our viewers to get to know them. And before we get started, there's a couple of things that are happening in the news that we covered in the West Side Gazette this week. We have been constantly drilling down on the Broward County School Board and some of the misgivings and misunderstandings and things that are occurring within our educational system from the top. And we discovered that there are a lot of shortcomings. Now, we know we all human and we all make mistakes, but some of these mistakes have been glaring mistakes and basically about to send our whole school system in a, how do you say, a mess, if you will. And we've been doing an extensive job on that. And there's another issue. We want to say congratulations to Eugene, Coach Eugene Georgie Boy Richardson. Eugene is a graduate of Bethune-Cookman University and has been an outstanding basketball coach at Board Anderson High School. So much so that some of his former players and parents and friends and just a plethora of people got together, raised money, and named the locker room after Coach Richardson. Not only did they name the locker room after him, they remodeled the locker room. And I should have had Johnny McCray on the show today, but Johnny is a trial lawyer and he's been extremely busy. There's a young man that headed up this whole fundraising effort. And I'm at a loss now. I'm in Seattle and trying to gather my thoughts as we do this show tonight. There's a young man that played for Eugene, and he and some other the players got together and raised a lot of money and redid the locker room. I mean, made it professional, a professional locker room at Board Anderson High School, and they named it the Coach Eugene Georgie Boy Richardson Locker Room. And on another note of congratulations, my father, Levi Henry, was awarded in Las Vegas this past weekend from the National Association of Black Journalists a Lifetime Achievement Award for the efforts he put into serving the community as a publisher, as the founding publisher of the West Side Gazette newspaper. So my daddy, Levi Henry Jr., thanks to Cheryl Smith, a graduate of Florida A&M University and one of my classmates at FAMU, not only did she nominate my daddy, but he won. They gave not they, he won the award, and also Cheryl was awarded too. So that was indeed a pleasure, a memorable weekend of which my father couldn't attend because he was in Tampa at a family reunion. I tell you, boy, this things are really, really busy and popping, and so here we are tonight. I'm in Seattle. I can look out my window and see the uh, what do you call it? The what is that building called with the, well, whatever it is. I can't think of the name of it right now. I spent the day at Mount Rainier, enjoying the beautiful mountains, Mount St. Helen, Mount Rainier, and some other parts of that. Just, man, gorgeous. If you get a chance, get out of the all of the mess of just being tied down with life, and go out and see some nature. And Seattle is a beautiful place to do that. So is Florida, So, okay, I'm trying to pass time until Perry can join us. I don't know if he's made it back to the studio yet, but okay, I don't see Perry in the studio, so we'll go on. Well, tonight we're fortunate enough to have three guests. One of the guests will be joining us at approximately 8:45, while there are two candidates waiting to come on and introduce themselves and talk a little bit about who they are, and what are their hopes are, and what do they want to do for the citizens of Florida and Broward County in particular. So if we were to go in alphabetical order, um, let's go with, we'll start with first names. Uh, Ben Oh, now, what's up, Perry?
How you doing, Bobby? Oh
Man,
man,
man, I'm so,
I see. I
so
came in just in the clutch, man. I saved you.
yes, you did. Yes, you did. I'm so glad to see you, Perry. Thank you.
Oh, Bobby, man, I
Yeah,
apologize to you,
that's
and
okay.
I apologize to the audience. It has been one of those crazy days. Most people said probably you shouldn't have got out of bed, but if I had gotten out of bed, I wouldn't have. I would have missed all this craziness I had in my day. So, and to hear my friend is in the Pacific Northwest, man,
Yeah,
I am
boy, you just
glad.
don't know how glad I am. You know,
But,
when when you become accustomed to having your sidekick there, man, it's you know,
right, yeah. I
yeah.
tell you, man, I felt like Eddie Kane in the opening scene of Five Heartbeats trying to slide in there.
You did it well, man. Oh boy, thank you for that. Oh
Well,
man,
good evening, audience, and thank you for joining us. No, Bobby took care of it, and I just hate I missed that opening. We might have to change some things up. In fact, I know we are. So, shoot, might have to let you bring us in more often.
no, 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 Perry. You got a way of setting the stage. You know, you, you
Yeah,
know
we'll
me.
let you
So,
bring us in. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. Anything you wanna discuss before we bring the audience on? Anything
Well,
that
no, in fact I'm excited. That was really the reason why I was rushing because I feel like I think most of our audience, while I've stayed in touch on what's going on the political front, I have to be honest, I have not had a chance to really get to know some of the fresh faces and what's happening in many of the races. I see signs and just really be honest with you, I am not I'm not one of those people. I'm not really going to your website. I don't want to hear your platform. I want to know you.
hmm
And so I'm eager to hear from these candidates because it's not easy. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. It's not easy to run and try to get people to believe in you. So, looking forward to our guest tonight.
Hey, man, thank you for bringing some civility to this show. You know, 'cause I was out there for trying to grab something, to hold on to, man. But you're absolutely right, Perry.
Yeah.
And we try to do that. We see signs everywhere, which reminds me of that song, Signs blocking out,
Mhm.
breaking my mind. It's just it really is a distraction too. I
Mhm.
think, and especially when they don't remove the signs after the show is over. So, but anyway, that's
That's
another.
another story, right?
Yeah, yeah. All right, man. You want to bring on our first guest?
Well, see now you had me talking.
Oh,
Uh, all I
what?
I know our first guest is Mr. Ben Sorensen, and Ben is running for help me, Bobby.
You got him, Ted Deutsch, remember?
Yeah, oh right. For Congressional District 23,
Mm-hmm.
which was formerly held by Congressman Ted Deutsch. Uh, and rather than have me flub and make this one of the worst entrances for him, let me bring him on and introduce himself, because I think we
Mm-hmm.
need to hear from candidates, not from talking heads.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Perry. Thank you, Bobby. I'm really honored to be here. Thank you all for letting me join. And Bobby, I think it's the Space Needle. Is that what you're looking at?
Hey, see, and now, at the beginning of the show, Ben, you told me I could call you, but I'm not going to do that.
Thank you.
You're absolutely right. Thank you, Ben.
Just trying to add a little value, a little value. So it's great being here with you. And if it's all right, maybe I'll just share a little bit about myself,
Sure.
A little bit about why I'm running, and then happy to stop and you all tell me what else you want me to do.
Okay.
Great. Well, Ben Sorensen, as you both, Perry and Bobby, covered, running for Congressional District 23. So that's the congressional district that Ted Deutsch is currently seated in. He's not running for re-election. And it's a congressional district that's been adjusted a little bit. It basically starts in Fort Lauderdale. And if you imagine the ocean being the eastern boundary of this congressional district, I-95 basically being the western boundary of this district, start in Fort Lauderdale and just move your way north along that eastern-western corridor. Okay, so you're going up Wilton Manors, Pompano Beach, Deerfield Beach, then Boca Raton, and it includes all of Boca Raton, and then it goes west where it starts going into Coral Springs, Tamarack, Margate. So that's the chunk of the Cooper City. That's the chunk of this Congressional District 23. I'm the vice mayor of the city of Fort Lauderdale. I'm a city commissioner. I've been a city commissioner here in the city of Fort Lauderdale for about 5 years. I'm a United States Navy reservist, still active, going on 15 years. I serve at U.S. Southern Command down in Doral, where I'm an intelligence officer, analyzing threats inbound to the U.S. and our allies. I'm also a pastor. I'm a third-generation Presbyterian minister. So I'll try not to get too preachy and go too long, but that's my blood. That's my blood. So, and then most importantly, I'm I think a former teacher and also a husband and a father of 2 little girls. And love to share maybe a little bit about why I'm running, but I'll pause there. Bobby and Perry, you tell me what you want me to do next.
No, that's a good point for us to bring on our next guest. You're absolutely right. Even though you didn't get into the juicy part of who you are being, because I've read your record. You got a lot. You have done a lot and accomplished a lot. And there's a lot more to what you're saying. But that's cool. But I want folk to know that it's more to you than what you said. All right. So our next guest is a young man. I think his family, he's a 6th generation Floridian, Kelly Scurry. Kelly has been around for a little bit of time. He's young, but he's extremely intelligent. Now, Kelly might not want me to say this, but I remember when Kelly, his Boy Scout Eagle project, when he was going, he had to present that project, and I was there to see that. So I've seen Kelly grow from times in the links, what's the other little thing? But I'll leave that alone. I'll let Kelly come on and introduce himself. Mr. Scurry.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you for those kind words. My name is Kelly Scurry. I am a candidate for the Florida House of Representatives, District 97. It's a newly redrawn district since, as I'm sure many of you are aware, because of the census, we went through the decennial redistricting process. So the new 97 includes parts of Lauderhill, Lauderdale Lakes, Sunrise, Plantation, Tamarack, North Lauderdale, and a small portion of Fort Lauderdale. But as Mr. Henry said, I am a sixth generation Floridian. I was born and raised here in Fort Lauderdale in Broward County, and I've I've been quite involved in things all my life, and as Mr. Henry said, I am an Eagle Scout. My project was actually involved with creating a beautification project around a parsonage for a local church. But after that was my senior year of high school, and then after graduating from high school, I went away to Duke University in Durham, North Carolina. And after 4 years and several blizzards, I decided that the Sunshine State was the place for me. So I went to the University of Florida, Lebanon College of Law, and got my law degree there. And ever since then, I've been back. I've been practicing law. I've also been involved with my family business, as many of you are aware. As a a resident of Fort Lauderdale, my family is involved with a Scurry Funeral Home, which has been very involved in the community for more than 40 years. And as an attorney, I've also been involved in trying to be of service to others, and that has included being involved in my church, New Mount Olive Baptist Church. I'm not a minister like the vice mayor, and especially not a Baptist minister. Don't have to worry about me going long. And then, in addition to being involved with the church, I'm a life member of the NAACP. I am involved with the Urban League of Broward County Young Professional Network and the Kiwanis Club of Central Broward, as well as being involved with different organizations within the local Democratic clubs. And I guess I'll stop here to allow you to get back to the show and direct it.
Both you and Ben Kelly, you guys are skirting around. I like to get the stuff that people don't normally talk about. Yeah, you're a whiz kid, man. You want to see. You did it. Tell us about that. Give us a little bit of that, and then we're gonna.
Oh, okay. Yes. Yeah. I guess when I was 12 years old, I was fortunate to have the opportunity to appear on Jeopardy. Twice a year, they have, I guess, the portion what they call Kids Week, and so on Kids Week they have, I guess, preteens or kids in effect, appear on the show and compete amongst each other. And so there was one evening while watching the show, my family and I, we'd watch the show after dinner just about every night. We saw that they were having these tryouts in Hollywood, in Broward County. And so I figured, why not? And so I tried it. And I tried out, participated in the process. And then several months later, long after I'd even forgotten that I had participated in these tryouts, I found out that I was selected to appear on the show. And so I got to fly out to Los Angeles, appear on the show, meet Alex Trebek, and the rest was history. And that was my first time in the Sun Sentinel as the quote unquote whiz kid.
Yeah. All right, that's good. And so let's go. Say a little bit more about us, about you, man. Is my dog barking?
Yeah, I'm just not hearing real well.
Yeah, you're choppy, Bobby.
I'm chopping up. Okay, Perry, take it from there until I get my sound right. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I guess I do have a similar question for both of you, gentlemen. In this day and age where voters are becoming a rare commodity to some degree, getting people to not just be interested in voting, but to be interested in your race and you. How do you get a dapper looking lieutenant commander in intelligence and a former Jeopardy contestant, Duke, to resonate with people who can say, now these are people that we need? How do you plan to approach that? And I really want to give you a chance to show people that these, one of the things is I think people tend to have an idea of what a politician is, and Lord only knows what that is these days. But what I really want to try to emphasize, and what we really want to emphasize, is what good leadership looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think politicians, I think politics is an admirable place to be, and politicians are needed. How do we get good leaders and not focus on these politicians that somehow we don't really have an idea of what they are?
Yeah, Kelly, do you want to jump into that? You want me to start?
Oh no, you can start.
Okay, all right, great. Yeah, it's a great question, Perry. So I ran for the City Commission of Fort Lauderdale originally because I saw a problem, Perry. And the problem I saw, and you and Bobby probably are well aware of this, and Kelly, you probably were tracking this too. There was a huge encampment in downtown Fort Lauderdale of homeless people right at the Broward County Public Library, if y'all remember this,
Right.
5-6 years ago. Tents everywhere. And so I tracked the city of Fort Lauderdale's efforts to help those people, and I thought their efforts were incredibly misguided. They literally tried to bulldoze the people and their belongings, and it was just horrible. And so I said to myself, I don't know all the solutions here, but I know there's got to be a better way. And so I ran for election in the city commission of the city of Fort Lauderdale. I knocked on 6,000 doors. I won by 55 votes, so every vote matters. And I was elected. And as soon as I was elected, I said to myself, what would Jesus do? Or what would whoever's faith leader they follow do about this homeless encampment? And I said to myself, I don't know the answers, but I sure know my faith leader would be down there among the people, with the people, ministering to the people. So I moved my office from City Hall down into the encampment. I brought a folding table, a couple folding chairs, and anyone who wanted to meet with me, whether they were attorneys or developers or just regular neighbors, they would have to sit with me. And how I positioned the chairs is I had my back to the encampment. They would sit in front of me across the table, 2 or 3 chairs facing the encampment in the summer Fort Lauderdale heat, and they would talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. Inevitably, they would say to me, hey, what is going on back here? This is crazy, all these people. And I'd say, funny you should ask. Let's talk about affordability and housing and homelessness in our community here and what we can do about it. Long story short, we raised $4.5 million. Public dollars, private dollars, individuals. We got all of those folks into affordable housing. We got wraparound case management support. And still today, 5 years later, the success rate is amazing. And I still talk to those folks day in and day out who are in great living situations that came from the encampment. And so, Perry, that's, I think, how one of the ways we get people engaged is we roll up our sleeves as brothers and sisters. We get into the problem and we work together as a community. And when you do that, people want to be involved. People want to be engaged and want to be part of the solution.
Mm-hmm. Great. You know, Ben, you mentioned having that that backdrop as your office, so to speak. The people that visited you, you guys did a hell of a job in doing that. With the city of Fort Lauderdale, I see gentrification taking place. You have any plans for dealing with, or how would you incorporate people staying in place, their footprint still being there while all this building is taking place around there? Can y'all hear me? Am I breaking up?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear, Bobby. It's coming through to me. Kelly, yeah, okay, good. Yeah, you're great. So great question. In Broward County, we're one of the most cost-burdened communities in the country. And what I mean by that is when you take the average housing cost and you add in the average transportation cost and you make that part of a percentage of the average salary in Broward County, what you see is housing and transportation comprising a far greater percentage of the average salary than anywhere else in the country. Anywhere else in the country. As a result, workforce housing, affordable housing is critical here. So here's what we've been doing in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Is as soon as I got elected, I said we need to take city land and we need to build affordable and workforce housing on city land. So we partner with affordable and workforce housing developers. We give them the land for $1. They build workforce and affordable housing, and we, in the deed and in the agreements, we mandate that that is affordable percent of AMI, 20 to 60% of AMI in perpetuity, so that we ensure affordability and workforce in our communities. But also, it's also investing in our minority communities from a business standpoint. So the Community Redevelopment Agency of the City of Fort Lauderdale has invested over $100 million in minority-owned business. If y'all ever go to, for example, Smitty's Wings, great minority-owned business on Sistrum, we invest in it. We invest in these businesses because that then brings jobs and resources and economic uplift. So those are some of the pieces. And in Congress, what am I be doing? We can't rely on the state of Florida and our governor's misguided policies, many of which I adamantly disagree with, to provide workforce and affordable housing through the Sadowski Fund, because this is a fund that was meant for affordable housing. They sweep it every year. So from the federal standpoint, we're going to bring more dollars here to the Continuum of Care Board of the county, which is a receptacle and distributor of affordable and workforce housing. I sit on that county commission, and we're going to do more through that.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Kelly, as a in the House, okay, I know this is, if I'm not mistaken, this is your first attempt at campaigning for political office.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So Kelly, what would be your focal point? What would be one thing that Mr. Scurry can get up and knock a home run on? What would that be?
Well, before I get into that,
Yeah.
it'll be difficult regardless to knock a home run on anything unless we all get out to vote and ensure we can elect as many Democrats, as many people that are committed to improving the lives of Floridians. But nevertheless, regardless of how it turns out, my first priority would be ensuring that we can have increased access to quality healthcare. I mean, right now we are currently still in the midst of a health crisis. For the past 2 years, we've been dealing with COVID-19, and each time we suspect that we're about to get out, there's another variant that comes about that is either resistant to a particular vaccine or is a replication of a prior strain. Furthermore, right now in South Florida, we are in many ways at the epicenter of the monkeypox outbreak that has been declared a public health emergency as well. And we're also in the midst of a meningitis outbreak as well. And it's quite important that we get, shore up our healthcare system and ensure that all Floridians, regardless of income level, are able to get access to quality healthcare and can see a doctor rather than have to rely on the emergency room to serve as their primary care physician. And so, because of the things that are currently happening right now, I would suspect that right now that would mean that the majority of legislators would view improving and shoring up our healthcare system not as a partisan issue or as a Democratic issue or a Republican issue, but an issue for Floridians. And that would be an issue that I would start from the beginning, and work to ensure that we ensure that every Floridian within my district and then also across the state has access to quality, affordable healthcare, so that they can have a nice quality life.
I'm here, and Perry, I'm gonna let you jump in. I'm here in Seattle, and when we drove in from the airport to come downtown, you're talking about tent city, man. You're talking about homelessness, and you're talking about healthcare, Mr. Scurry. I've seen it here, like on steroids. So you spoke about something for health, doing something with healthcare, and Ben, you spoke about the housing issue. We had we had legislators who were in office left office to run for another position, while leaving the people, while abandoning the people. Now, you see some unsurmountable stuff in housing. You see some what you think is unsurmountable with healthcare. How? What would you do to assure the people that you're in office to stay in office until your term is up, no matter how difficult the road may seem? So, I said all that to say this. I know it's difficult. I see it here in Seattle. I see some of the blight and the problems. So, my question is, what will you do? How would you assure the people that you will be in position until it's done?
Yeah, happy to start that, Bobby. Because we need lifelong Democrats that are in it to win it and are willing to stay till the fight is done. And that's what I'm committed to doing. You know, my fight in the United States Navy Reserves, 14 years, long-time service in the city of Fort Lauderdale. We've got to take a holistic, all-in approach to move the needle on this. And so we've talked about healthcare. I think Kelly made some great points. We need to have a public option for national healthcare. Medicare for all is something also we need to really look at. We need to look at the housing that I've talked about, the solutions. Here's another piece that's part of the solution set for this. And I think this is where there's an opportunity for Seattle to maybe do what we're doing. The criminal justice system. Our criminal justice system has significant challenges. And here's one of the ways we changed this in the city of Fort Lauderdale. One of the things we saw is that the number of homeless people that were rotating through our Broward County Jail in downtown Fort Lauderdale was significant. They would be picked up for nonviolent misdemeanors, small drug charges. They'd go in for a day or two, 3 days, 4 days. They're back out on the streets. We've spent money as a society, and what have we accomplished? I would say not much. So what we did in the city of Fort Lauderdale is find solutions. I worked with the chief of police of the city of Fort Lauderdale, Chief Broward County Judge Tudor, and a host of nonprofit service agencies, and we created the first ever in the state of Florida called Community Court. What Community Court is it is a court held in the city of Fort Lauderdale City Commission chambers every week. When anyone is picked up for a nonviolent misdemeanor who is homeless or facing housing challenges, they are not sent to the jail for 2, 3, 4 days a week, 2 weeks a month. They come to the city of Fort Lauderdale chambers where Judge Tudor and Judge Barner preside. Their sentencing is look around the room at all of the service providers that are in the room. This is your case manager. This is where you're going to sleep tonight. This is the job trainer that's going to help you get your resume and get on your feet again. This is FDOT who's going to get you a license and identification. As a result of the community court in the city of Fort Lauderdale, we have seen this model explode. We're the first in the state. Now there are a huge number across the state. And the success we've had on getting people off the street and keeping them off the street through wraparound services is the model that we need to approach holistically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would say, and just so I understand correctly, I guess your question is how, what can I do to assure the people that I'm running for this, this position to, I guess, be sure that they get the job done and not just to leave when another opportunity arises. But I would say that the people can trust me because if you look at how I ended up even getting into this race, it would show that my primary motivation is to serve the community and ensure that my neighbors are represented by the most competent and the most involved and homegrown people in the community. I ended up getting into this race fairly late because the incumbent in the seat decided to run for Congress for the 20th Congressional District. And at that point, that it was after the seat opened up in which several people in the community, people that, that I guess I consider mentors and also people whose counsel I value highly, urged me to run. And so, if it weren't for that, I would not, be here right now. If anything, I'd probably just be watching, this show, with the rest of the public. But it was members of the community, approaching me and asking me to get into the race that pushed me to file and to run. And so I bring that to say that to show that, I'm not in this just as like some, politician that's, just trying to work his way up the ladder to some statewide or national office. I'm in it because, I, know what the community needs, and I know, and I know that, if no one else is going to, step in the race, then rather than wait on the sideline and wait for someone else to get in, that I myself need to get in. And it's for those reasons that I'm getting in, to ensure that that my community, and that for all the people of South Florida and the rest of the state, have someone in Tallahassee that's fighting for better paying jobs, that's fighting to ensure that we have more affordable housing, and in protecting the rights of renters and getting the property insurance crisis in check, to ensure that we increase funding for our public schools, and increase pay for our teachers, so that our children and grandchildren can have a quality education that can prepare them for the rest of their life. It's for those reasons, it's to help others and to serve others that is driving me in this race, not a matter of trying to just check off political aspirations.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I know the dialogue in politics is always really issue driven about what's pressing us. Probably so much so that we never talk about a future. And so Vice Mayor Sorensen, as having led the city, just to say succinctly, what is your vision? But I want to just put it in this, encapsulated in this, with us, with Broward and South Florida being such a tourist-driven sector, which we're still trying to figure out what the impact of that being in this post-COVID or continuous pandemic prevalent age. Where do you see Broward beginning to transform itself such that we are not so dependent upon tourism, and finding viable wages such that we can afford the housing that is here, because housing isn't going down and wages aren't coming up to that point, especially with the workforce here. So what is your vision knowing, those challenges about Broward? And we won't even talk about high water rising and people moving.
Yeah, Perry. So my vision is a Broward County and a South Florida that's a much more diversified economy than the heavily driven service side it is now. So, for example, in the city of Fort Lauderdale, proud to have the top IT contractor for Northrop Grumman, major defense contractor, their main IT contract based right here in downtown Fort Lauderdale. So we've got to continue to grow that base and attract businesses. And one of the ways you attract those businesses is by having a talented workforce. And what that means increasing the skill and talent of our workforce by investing in schools, investing in vocational programs. We need to start vocational programs in middle school. Federal funding, I want to skip the state because I am just very frustrated with the state's lack of support for education funding. Federal dollars from the Department of Education coming down to institute real vocational programs, IT, marine, aeronautics. There is a host of programs we can start at our public schools. We're working on an aeronautics program at Stranahan High School. So we need to invest in these. College is not for everyone, nor should it be. We have amazing programs. So let's invest in those. So that's number one. Two, we need a federal living wage. I'm not talking about a minimum wage, a living wage at the federal level. It should be pegged to inflation or CPI. Let's get real. Let's actually make sure that everyone can earn a living, a fair living wage. We've done that in the city of Fort Lauderdale. We've mandated a living wage for city employees, and it has been fantastic. It lifts all boats when you have real living wage. So that's number two. And the third piece, when you think about where are we heading as a community, is a community that welcomes all. And we've got to stand up against Ron DeSantis. We've got to stand up against the attacks on any community that is attacked for being the least of these. We will say no, because not only is that bad and goes against our ethical core as people and as humanity, but it's actually really bad for business. And we in South Florida want to be welcoming of businesses and draw them into our amazing workforce.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this question to both of you. What or who do you consider to be community strategists? And when you think about that, are you willing to? I hate to ask you yes and no questions, but are you willing to uh, 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 having dialogue with those who sleep under? Being on this, this is a rhetorical question to you. Those who sleep under trees and the grassroots, and those who uh, are not normally looked upon as community strategists.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Yeah. Yes, I will definitely be willing to talk to all the people that are community strategists. Throughout this campaign, I've been talking to everyone. So often, even when one is going door to door, there are times in which you just say, well, just focus on the people most likely to get out to vote. But I've done more than that. I've talked to people on the side of the road. I've talked to people who, in learning about them, you find out that actually that they're homeless, or they're immigrants, or that they have these other issue that is facing them. And so I intend to remain engaged within the community and talk to the people that, whether they are the leader or chairs of different organizations such as the NAACP or the various pastors or business leaders, or even if it's just that person that quote unquote backbencher, the person who doesn't have any position, or he's not secretary, she's not chair of anything, but she's always there at these things, and speaking up and trying to and ensuring and holding powerful people accountable. Also talk to individuals like that, because in order to serve and be able to show and improve life for members of the community, we have to be talking to all community strategists, whether they're the people that hold fancy titles such as president of this or publisher of a particular newspaper, or if they are the person that sweeps up after everyone goes home for the night.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I agree. Just tell you briefly about Angel. Angel was someone I met in the downtown homeless encampment. And the first day I met Angel, I said, Angel, how's it going? What can we do? If you could wave your magic wand, Angel, what would it be? And what I'd like to do, Ben would like to do, is get more homeless shelters so you can immediately get off the street and get into a shelter. She said, Ben, I don't even want to hear it. I said, okay, you tell me, what do you want to hear? She said, I want a house. I want my own apartment. I don't want to be sleeping in a room with 100 other people. I said, okay, so it's about getting you into an apartment and then getting you help from there. She said, yes. She knows more than I do. She has much better solutions than I do, and she's not alone. So those are the folks who are living the experience that we've got to leverage to be an innovator. And that's what I want us to be in South Florida, an innovator. Trying new court systems, trying new homeless solutions. In the city of Fort Lauderdale, we're trying things called protein skimming, which is a way to clean water in our waterways. We're trying new ways of measuring pollutants in water and prevent. We've got to do all these. We're installing tidal valves to prevent climate change impact on homes. So we've got to be creative, got to be innovative, and we've got to have the humility to say, I don't have the solutions. I need a community and a village around me to help me be better and be smarter.
Scurry?
Bobby?
Yeah.
Our
Okay.
next guest. Yeah.
Yeah. For those, Ben and Kelly, for those individuals who have fallen between the cracks because maybe there is a criminal record attached to them, but there's still positive life left in them. What do you have in your treasure box to reach out to those individuals? You know,
Well, I
yeah.
would say that first and foremost, we need to ensure that people who have paid their debt to society, or and even people who were improperly incarcerated, that they are able to re-enter society, and ensure that and expand, continue to expand efforts such as banning the box. To ensure that people are able to get to improve their lives and get access to a job. I know here at in Broward County, we've done that, but at the present time, there's no statewide law ensuring that. But that's first and foremost, we need to ensure that people who have those records, who have reformed their lives and want to become law-abiding citizens, that they're able to get quality good quality jobs so that they can support their families and rebuild their life, and not let a mistake, whether it was a youthful, whether it was a youthful mistake or whether it was a older mistake that someone should have known better. The fact that they paid their debt and that they're able to re-enter the workforce, and even include employment training to ensure that they're able to rebuild and become productive citizens in our society.
Okay.
Yeah, and I would say we are a country of second chances. We are built on second chances, and my faith informs me of second chances. One of my favorite stories from Scripture is when Jesus on the cross, and there are two thieves next to him, right? Lived lives of illegality. And one of the thieves says basically, hey, I actually kind of believe that you're the savior. And what does Jesus do? He brings them with him. He says, you will come with me. So our faith, our what's in our bones as Americans is to give people a chance. And so I just believe that through and through. And one of the ways I try to do that just day in and day out is I give my cell phone number to anyone and everyone. It is 954-802-3311, 954-802-3311. If anyone's struggling, looking for a second chance, trying to find resources in Broward County and can't get it, trying to find it, text me. I might not know the solutions, but I will help you get connected with the right folks. And I think as a community, the more we all work together, the better off we are.
And the better we are. Black businesses are they're suffering. I mean, some, you mentioned Chris Smith and his Smitty's Wings. Yeah, that's one. But if we can name one success, there are several who don't get an opportunity.
Yep.
You got a Betty's restaurant. You got a whatever. You got several of them. You got other small Black businesses who don't receive that benefit from knowing someone that knows someone. How do you have in your plan to create a rising tide so everybody can be raised up, and so for the peoples of Broward County, and in particular, for Black businesses in particular?
Absolutely. For me, it's vital. It's vital. So that's where it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, it's reaching out and engaging with me. And we're going to do everything we can to lift you up, because the more small business owners we have thriving, the better off we are. And it's so important that our children, when they look at successful business people, they look and see someone that's like them.
Okay.
It's one of the challenges we've had in the city of Fort Lauderdale is our police department wasn't necessarily looking like the people they're serving. And we've done a much better job of improving that. And that's what we need to do as a community as a whole to ensure minorities are equally represented in the business leadership so that children can look up and connect with and see what's possible.
Okay. And I hate to do this, but now we I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was getting a bunch of feedback from me. Oh, okay, I understand that our third guest is backstage waiting. So you guys stay here. We're gonna bring her on too, and we're gonna continue this conversation. So if we can, Mercy, Merceydes. If I mess your name up, please forgive me. Okay.
Okay,
But yeah, Merceydes Morassi. I said that last name correct? All right.
that's correct.
She's a candidate for Broward County School Board in seat 7. Uh, he is I want to say, is it clinical psychologist, or have I went way out way?
No, you're not totally out of the ballpark. I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I'm a board certified behavior analyst, and I'm a adjunct psychology professor.
And she's also coming to us from her car. She told me earlier she was leaving an event to make sure she was a part of this. Mercedes, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm not sure where to get started. I'll tell you a little bit about my career. When I first started working in mental health, it was with kids that were involved in the DCF system. So they were either in the process of being separated or reunified with their parents. From there, I worked with kids in substance abuse facilities. And most recently, the majority of my work has been with kids with developmental disabilities, such as autism or ADHD. And I've worked with them in their home, in their community, and most importantly in the school setting. And I think it was working within the school setting and also like working with their parents against the school setting to get these kids their accommodations, their IEPs. That's what really turned me on to advocacy and made me realize, you know what? Parents could use an ally on the school board. So it inspired me to run.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now, when you say inspire you to run, what is it that jumps out at you, Merceydes, the most? I heard you speak at a town hall, a community event, and you were very passionate. But what is it that push you over the ledge, if you will?
So there was quite a few things, but I think what I started to realize was that to me the board feels like a bunch of politicians. They deliver flowery speeches, but they're not actually action oriented. The policies and procedures that they're rolling through aren't beneficial to the kids. They're not beneficial to the community. There's no one on that school board that's an expert in mental health, and yet they claim to have such a deep-seated interest in it. I also, honestly, I was standing back watching some of the board meetings, not just in our district, but across the country, and watching how parents were being demonized for having a voice in their child's education. And I've always been a parent advocate. When I work with kids in mental health, I always include their parents. I believe that you can't make a change in a child's life without involving the entire environment. And the parents are usually the most critical aspect of the environment. So there was a lot of things that were like pulling me towards this position.
Okay, you mentioned working together. Okay, we have 3 people on this panel right here: potential congressman, a House representative, and a school board member. How do you see, Merceydes, you 3 working together?
Well, I'm not going to pretend like I know all the ins and outs of politics and exactly all the roles and who's responsible for what. I know to some degree what the school board is responsible for, what the House representatives are responsible for, but I think in general, if we're talking about trying to make our community better, if we're talking about trying to do good for everyone, it starts with communication. So how would we work together? Hopefully with open, honest communication, and hopefully with full transparency, because that is also something that is majorly lacking, not just within the school board, but within, Broward County politics in general, I think.
Okay, and Ben, I asked you the same question.
Yeah, thank you, and thanks, Merceydes. It's great to hear you and your passion and conviction. Completely agree, and I think to add on that is breaking down silos. So in the city of Fort Lauderdale, when I got elected, one of the silos we had is the city of Fort Lauderdale at times would just say, "Hey, the school board of Broward County is not doing a great job with the schools. They really need to do a better job," and we didn't do much about it. When I got elected, we have said we're not passing the buck anymore. We're going to partner with the school board. We have invested, Bobby, $20 million from the city of Fort Lauderdale budget into our Broward County schools, especially many of our minority schools, to say we are no longer standing by. We're going to partner and invest to ensure our children have the resources, have the facilities, have the education they need. So that's what it takes, I think, is united partnership, advocating together, breaking down silos to get what we need for the community. Because a lot of times I see everyone's fighting just to get credit. And if we just say, hey, let's not worry about who gets credit and just worry about getting things done, trust me, the voters will reward you. I know they will.
Okay, Mr. Scurry, same question. You got an opportunity. You got a school board person. You got a Congress. So what's the plan for bringing this together?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yes. Well, I agree with what both Ben and Merceydes said. Partnering is the best way to ensure that we are able to help the members of our communities. I mean, I remember as I've been going out and talking to people, there have been things that you realize that even if you think that all the ins and outs of a particular issue, the more you get in and try to discover, the more you realize that there are things that you don't know. So I believe that in order for us to really be able to solve and deal with the issues that are really affecting us, well, we will need to partner with the federal government. We will need to partner with the cities and the counties and the school board to ensure that we can solve the issues that we need, whether it's additional job training, whether it's better funding for schools, or whether it's ensuring that whether it's expanding federal partnerships to build more affordable housing, or whether it's in terms of expanding your Medicaid. In order to really get something done and be able to actually help people, it's much better to partner with other people and ensure they get it done, because instead what you end up having done is oftentimes you have people that are in their own little lanes trying to solve a particular issue. And what oftentimes ends up happening is that the problem doesn't get solved, and then the voters are left to wonder, well, what has this person done? They just went up there and got elected for a position, and then now they're just coming back to ask for votes to ensure that they get reelected. But if you partner with people and you ensure that you have things, such as even you mentioned with the community court and with the Veterans Court, the partnership that was brought about even with the city and then also with the Department of Veterans Affairs, that is a program that has improved the lives of many veterans. And that is a program that is a result of a partnership and could not have really been accomplished as effectively as it was without people partnering. And so that shows that in order for us to be effective legislators, be effective community leaders and servants of the people, we will have to work together.
You're absolutely right. I'm gonna drop some names. I remember Congressman Hastings, Ben Williams, Art Kennedy, Dorsey Miller. Those were school board, congressmen, House people. They all came together and they met. I want you three to tell us that when you are elected, that you three will have some form of form of communication where the community is invited, and come. My thing keep coming on and come out and support it. So I want a commitment from you three.
You were so strong, you had your own echo.
Hey, I'm sorry.
I'm all in. I'm all in.
You got a commitment from me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, and 1,000% commitment. In order to be effective and to really understand the issues, you have to remain in contact with those community leaders. And I've actually spoken to both of them during this campaign. Three of the living people that you've mentioned. So I would definitely commit to that.
Okay.
And Bobby, if I could add on to that, collectively, we've got to address the institutional issues that face all of our organizations and institutions in the United States. We have institutional racism in many of our institutions, and we've got to it can't just be one person trying to battle this. We've got to collectively address this. In the city of Fort Lauderdale, just as an example, when I was elected commissioner, the percentage of minority-owned businesses that were doing business with the city of Fort Lauderdale was abysmal. We worked to adjust our procurement process to mandate percent of all businesses required minority-owned businesses. So we've got to push hard together to force the ending and the progression as a community and as a society, and that's going to take all of us.
And Ben, that includes Black-owned media as well. Now,
Absolutely.
I'm leave it like that. Okay, now we're gonna go around the table here. Okay, Merceydes, why should we elect you and not your opponent? That same
Well,
question for everybody. Yeah.
All right, this one's a pretty clear one for me. My opponent has been in office for 12 years. Okay, they recently passed a law, a term limit for 12 years, but they passed it while she was seated, which means she gets grandfathered in. She could potentially run. She could have a 24-year career. That's too long. That's what I call a career politician. I think that you have 12 years, get in, get the job done, and get out. We can't keep re-electing the same people over and over again and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity. I think that whole board needs to be cleaned out. We need to start new. And I think when we're talking about, I just did a forum the other day with many school board candidates, and almost every single one of them said the main issue facing kids in Broward County today is mental health. So if that is the main issue that our kids are facing, we need a mental health expert on that school board that knows exactly what's up, what's healthy for these kids, and who's going to advocate for things that are actually in their best interest. So for me, I think I'm a no-brainer, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mr. Scurry?
Yes, I would argue that the voters of District 97 should vote for Kelly Scurry as opposed to either of my opponents, is because I'm the only candidate in the race who has lived in the district all of his life. I am a homegrown product of the district, and as someone who's lived in the district and who has family who's been here a while, I understand the issues that are affecting it. And I'm not someone that has just shown up out of the blue to run for something, or someone who is living in a different city and pretending to live in the district. I'm someone that actually lives here, who wakes up every day and goes to work and is involved in community things within the district. So I know the things that are going on. And I would also argue that the people that are supporting me is evidence of the people who the people who are supporting me and who have endorsed me, I believe, are also evidence of the reasons as to why people should vote for me. I mean, I have been endorsed and have supporting me, current, and former, state senators, Senator Osgood and Senator Pizzo, former Senator Thurston and Senator Smith. I also have local elected officials, from the mayor of Sunrise, which is in the district, the mayor of North Lauderdale, several former and current Lauderhill commissioners, including Margaret Bates, Haywood Benson, and Ray Martin. I also have the support of Plantation Council members, even from people that you were mentioning earlier today, both Dr. Dorsey Miller and Art Kennedy, have endorsed me. And I'm not here to list out all of the people who've endorsed me, but more I mention that as a point to indicate that there are people who within this community who have devoted their lives to serving the people of Central Broward and the Black community of Broward County. And given that many of them have also held this same office, and they know the issues that are at stake, the fact that they say that I should be the person who should go that should be elected and go to Tallahassee to fight should be a sign that I am the best person for the job, and that I would be the most effective as well, and that even though I am also the youngest candidate in the race, that should not be counted against me, that instead that my youth is the sign of a fresh perspective and new energy for the fight in Tallahassee.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Bobby. So Ben Sorensen, congressional candidate for District 23. I should be your choice because I've got the track record, I've got the experience, and I've got the ability to serve at the highest levels and for our people. I've been serving in the city of Fort Lauderdale, partnering with the federal government for years to get big things done. We've done everything from get huge transportation dollars, huge affordable housing dollars to support our community, to even changing flight paths out of Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport I was able to do because they were impacting many of our neighborhoods. So I've gotten it done there. I've worked at the highest levels of our national security apparatus as a lieutenant commander of the United States Navy, still serve today. I served on the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for 6 years. I know how big agencies get things done. I'm going to be getting it done. And also, one of my main opponents is a gentleman named Jared Moskowitz, who thinks Ron DeSantis is brilliant, has received 2 political jobs from Ron DeSantis, and supports Ron DeSantis's policies and has rolled them out during COVID. That is not the kind of leader we need in our community. I'm Ben Sorensen. I'm going to stand up against Ron DeSantis and his discriminatory policies, and I'm going to bring everyone together to a better South Florida community. And that's why you should vote for Ben Sorensen for Congressional District 23. And lastly, don't take my word for it. Take the Democratic Black Caucus of Broward County endorse me. The Black Vote Broward endorse me. The Bless Broward Ministerial Alliance endorse me. And elected officials up and down South Florida have endorsed me because they believe that together we can do amazing things. Thank you.
Perry? And we're gonna wrap this up. You all right?
Yeah. No, thank all of you. This has been a great evening. I guess I'm sort of a oh, one of our guests leave. I guess you have to go. I am a political junkie in some sense, but more than anything, I love to hear good candidates and heard some good candidates, and that always inspires me because I am one of those people. I am tired of the same look, expecting something different. I know it's not. And so I just believe that, yes, we do. We have to shake things up, but I believe we have to shake them up strategically. And it's not just voting for your one guy or your one lady who you love. It's looking for a team. It's looking for your chess pieces. And if there's anything, I'll let you guys know. I'm looking at you as pawns and rooks. I need good chess pieces. And so and in this day and age when everyone thinks that all you need to do is get a TV ad, I am so honored that a place like the 2-minute warning can be a place where we can have good voices come to our people. And so I'm honored that you be here and wish all of you well in your endeavors. And come back and tell us some more once you get in. We don't want to just help you get in and say bye-bye. We want you to come back and tell us and bring some goodies with you.
Okay, and we don't do endorsements from the show, but I will say that the West Side Gazette has endorsed Merceydes. We watched Merceydes and how she handled herself on several platforms and how she spoke up and wasn't afraid to. So with that being in her record and what we think she can bring to a sick board, it was our reason for endorsing her. So we have endorsed Merceydes Morassi for the Broward County School Board seat number 7. Okay, so I want to go on record and say that. And I want to say thank you for all of you for taking the time out to join us. It really means something. Kelly, Ben, and Merceydes, it really means something. There were a lot of comments that came across the screen, and we couldn't, for some reason, we didn't show them. But there are a lot of people, in particular, were giving kudos to what you have already done. Ben, they mentioned you on several instances. I see Morales, you're going in and out on Merceydes on several issues. They thank you for what you did on the homeless effort. Ms. Latrice Graves spoke highly of you. So there were a lot of comments coming in, and I was trying to get them, but I was messing up anyway. But we thank you all for joining us, and as Perry said, don't stop because you have achieved your goal of being elected. Please come back and join the community. Keep us informed with what you're doing and how we can help. We are serious about the business of getting grassroots people back involved with the political system. So many times, especially our black men, have fallen short because perhaps they made a mistake or they were taking care of their families and they went about it the wrong way to put food on the table. So we speak up for them and for the sisters, all the ladies who need to control their bodies, but yet and still the government is peeping into their bedroom. So we're here to bring a voice to the voiceless people, and we need you. And that's why I stress the fact, Ben, Kelly, and Mercedes, y'all got to come together. You got to. You cannot separate this. We need each of you in a position of authority to make sure that those that come behind us can really have the respect again for politicians and not politicians, for school board members who don't take and rob. Y'all follow me?
Yeah.
We need this, and we need y'all. So we thank you so very much for joining. Please come back.
Bobby, can I ask you a question before we go?
Sure, you can.
What, and I'm sure, I'm guessing Kelly would feel the same way, but I would be honored for your endorsement. What would that be something you all would consider, or what could we do to, have that consideration or possibility?
Mm-hmm. Well, we won't spill the beans just yet.
Okay.
But
Great.
We followed y'all,
Yeah.
and we sent out a survey. I don't know if I think I might have seen your survey, Kelly, but Ben, I don't think I got yours back. Your questionnaire.
Okay, there was a questionnaire. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll check on that. Get
Yeah,
that back.
we've seen you. We've seen y'all out.
Okay.
So based upon what you've done and what grassroots people tell us, that's the heartbeat. If you're not doing anything for the least of them,
Right.
then doggone it, you're not gonna get our vote or our endorsement.
Yep.
That won't happen.
Fair enough. That sounds great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, that's no problem. Merceydes, you got a closing statement? We can't.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but
Yeah,
I can barely. You can? Okay, I can't hear anything that's been said the last 5 or 6 minutes. My reception is so bad it keeps dropping. So I don't know if there was a question posed to me, but all I can say is thank you so much for having me on this forum. I'm sorry that I only joined in the in the 11th hour, so to speak. But I really appreciate it, and I think I heard you say to keep coming back, and I fully intend on doing that.
Okay. That's it. You got it.
All righty.
Thank you all for having us.
You're more than welcome. And
Look
thank
forward to
you.
being back.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for this opportunity. As a lifelong reader of the West Side Gazette, I appreciate this opportunity to be on the 2-minute warning. For any of the people listening, if you want to learn more about my campaign, please feel free to check out my website, kellyscurry.com, or you can also call me on my cell phone, 954-526-6685. If you want to get involved in my campaign or donate, you can learn more about me at my website. But thank you again for this opportunity.
Kelly, next time I'll tell them about your Jack and Jill experience.
Next time, another reason for me to come back.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, Merceydes, Kelly, thank y'all very much.
Thank y'all.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.